legit. Visions of grandeur, I ain't having delusions. Man, this rap shit is deeply rooted. He in this movement, element OP, so legit with the music. My shit is fundamentals, why the kids can't refuse it. Be on my bullshit, think before you squeeze it and pull it. My parents used to always tell me ain't no name on the bullet. So when I used to hear them shots fired, I got low. Nowadays it's fireball shots in my eyes low. That's just some food for thought, stuff that in your pie hole. I bring that heat back like it's Cinco de Mayo. I like things, man, I think I'm a buy-mo. Trying to keep it copacetic, got no time for a rival, my nigga. Ain't got no time for that. Said a nigga like me ain't got no time for that. Ain't got no time for that. Tryna keep it copacetic, got no time for that. Ain't got no time for that. Said a nigga like me ain't got no time for that. Ain't got no time for that. Tryna keep it copacetic, got no time for that. No, not at all. We all rise, we all fall. But I'm tryna stay up like I pop 20 Viagra's, dog. That's why I go super hard. Y'all niggas is more RuPaul, Maury Povich, talk a lot. Already in your parking spot. Me, I'm out the parking lot, headed towards the freeway. Putting the beat on, did it the freeway. Funny thing about this life, there really ain't nothing free, man. Getting chopped and screwed, I'm on my T-Pain. These niggas tryna be Wayne and Uzi too. I'ma stay in my lane. If you were copied, then you were through. Give me the Rocky Rudy Poos. Tryna spread the news, not end up on the news, my nigga. Ain't got no time for that. Said a nigga like me ain't got no time for that. Ain't got no time for that. Tryna keep it copacetic, got no time for that. Ain't got no time for that. Said a nigga like me ain't got no time for that. Ain't got no time for that. Tryna keep it copacetic, got no time for that. My sis said I should put a third verse on here, but I think they got the point. It's Element OP, legit music, new official pharaohs. You know what it is. Ain't got no time for that. No, ain't got no time for that. No, ain't got no time for that. Said a nigga like me ain't got no time for that.
Good evening and welcome to the Black Podcast Show. Once again, hosted by me, your girl Auchante, and that music was by my boy Tone Legit. No time for that. And that's one of my Milwaukee kinsmen. Obviously, he from the same city I'm from, and I want to show him some love. He been spitting for a minute, and that's one of those cats that still does what I consider, real music, real lyrics, real bars. So, like I said, that Tone Legit. I'm going to get right into the show. Thanks for allowing me to play your music, brother. As y'all can see, I'm shining on y'all a little bit today. I got the grill in. I had to become an official Texan and go ahead and get icy. But as you can also hear, I haven't quite mastered talking with it in, so I'm not going to wear it for the whole show. I just wanted to, shine on these hoes right quick. Let y'all know, the Black Podcast Show making some money. No, I'm just playing. It's not yet. It's not making any money as of yet. I just need y'all help in sharing, liking, commenting, getting it out there so I can start making some money, So, I'm not going to keep this in, actually. I'm sure that's a lot better. All right. So, like I said, this is the Black Podcast Show. Every Monday, 8 o'clock, I'm here with y'all, chopping it up, giving y'all some motivation, talking about some true crime, and giving y'all some TAE Talk, pop culture discussions. I talk about a lot of different things on the show, and I keep it real with y'all for about an hour, then I get up out of here. So you got me for an hour, and today I got a really, really interesting true crime case. A lot of people hadn't heard about this, which surprised the heck out of me because I was surprised that I hadn't heard of it. But I'm going to give y'all the game today, and I also got some really good motivation. That's where I'm going to go ahead and get started. The motivation today is this. And I want you to open up your heart and your mind so you can receive this. Because I need you to take this with you throughout the rest of the week. You know? Take this in the next week, the week after that, and just kind of meditate, focus on this. The motivation is this: just do you. It's 3 words. Just do you. Y'all know how Nike say just do it? Shantae is telling you just do you. Don't just do it. Just do you. Whatever that means. Be you. Do you. And be who you are. And stop worrying about what other people think. What other people have to say. Stop worrying about anything that's not going to further or advance you in becoming who you would like to be. You know? The fact of the matter is, whether you doing bad, good, or nothing, people are going to have something to say. That's a fact. You know, whether you are a great person or a horrible person, people are going to talk about you. They might speak highly of you or they might speak lowly of you. Regardless of what you're doing, who you are, what you've done, people are going to have something to say. You got to understand. People talk about Barack Obama. The same people that voted him in the office talked about him. People said Barack Obama didn't do anything for black people. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm #1 Barack Obama fan, but if nothing else, having a black man in office is powerful, or was powerful rather, because it's inspiring to black children. It's inspiring to minority children in general. So if people talk about a person that has achieved a lot and that is known as a positive person, known as a good person, why do you think they won't talk about you? You know, people feel entitled every day. People feel jealous every day. But that's not for you to worry about. That's not for me to worry about. It's up to me and you to do what we're here to do. And stop worrying about what other people think. You know, sometimes when I'm doing it, even just this podcast, it might not seem like very much. But sometimes I'm like, well, what are people going to think if I say this? Or I think about something I said already and I'm like, maybe I should delete that. But why would I give a fuck about any of that? You know what I'm like? How crazy does that sound when it's a lot of people, a lot of y'all comment and say, I love your show. You know, a lot of people comment and say, oh, you know, that's real talk, or you speaking facts. So why would I worry about a person that's hating? Or why would I worry about a negative reaction when I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I'm doing something that I think is important? How crazy is it that I'm worried about what a negative Nancy would have to say? A person that's probably not impacting my life in any type of way. It could be a person I don't even know like that. Certainly not paying my bills. Certainly not a person that's going to help me in any kind of way. And it's the same for you. Why do you give a fuck what somebody got to say? Excuse my language if it's any kids listening, but they need to hear this too. It's really important. Why would you care about what anyone has to say if they're not advancing you in any way? If they can't even do anything to help you? You know? Why do you care what those people have to say? Why do you care what people on Facebook have to say, or Instagram, or Snapchat? Why do you care about what the person you went to high school with 10, 15 years ago has to say about your life? Why do you care what they think? Why, even a family member, why do you care about what your cousin in Mississippi think when she ain't never did shit for you but just be your cousin? And that's cool. Family is family. But if a person is not putting themselves in a situation to help you, and they've never done anything to help you, and they don't have your best interest at heart, all they have is an opinion, Don't worry about that. Just do you. Just do you. Because all we have is right now. 10 years from now, you're going to wish you had did things the way you wanted to. That doesn't mean be irresponsible and do whatever it is you want to do at any given moment, be impulsive. Of course not. That's silly. But it does mean follow your path. Stay in your lane. You know? And don't worry about what other people are thinking or doing or saying. I can honestly say, since I stopped worrying about the wrong shit and started doing me, like, exclusively, I'm a lot happier and I'm in a better place than I've ever been. So, if it worked for me, it could work for you. Easy. I actually... well, I'm not going to say that. Obviously, I'm not a therapist. I can't give anybody any advice that's guaranteed, but you just got to do you. I think you'll be a lot happier. And I mean, my opinion is almost the same as facts as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, that's the motivation. Like I said, just do you, be who you are, and stop worrying about what other people think because it's irrelevant. Take that with you throughout the rest of the week, and you will have 100% better results than you had last week. All right. With that being said, I'm going to jump right into the true crime segment because I'm very excited about this. Well, I'm not excited because it is still a sad case. Unfortunately, someone's life did get lost. But I think this is a really interesting case that I have for you guys today. So, the case I'm talking about today is the Jenny Jones murder. Do y'all remember the 90s talk shows? Now, before you just say, of course, Jerry Springer, Maury, Oprah, ask yourself if you really, really remember, like, the insanity that was 90s talk show. It's like, now I feel like we have so much reality TV that we're kind of desensitized to it all. You know, there's really no shock value left. But in the 90s, these talk shows introduced ratchet television to America. We had no idea that people could act so ratchet. I can't even think of another word. We didn't know that people could act their ass like that on television until Jerry Springer, Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, Maury, until they were introduced to America. So, because of media and technology, a lot has changed, in the last 20 years. So like I said, back in the 90s and early 2000s, all of this was very new to us. But even as far as societal thought patterns and judgments, things have changed. And I just say that to say that the actions that took place are nowhere near acceptable or justifiable. But when I consider the attitudes that were encouraged in our society towards certain individuals, I can honestly say I have empathy for all parties that were involved. So with that being said, I'm going to just say, if you don't remember Jenny Jones, which I don't blame you if you don't, she was pretty mediocre white chick who couldn't make it as the white Oprah, so she opted for being the female Jerry Springer. So I'm going to ask y'all this. If you had a crush on someone as an adult, how do you tell them? Do you just tell them flat out? Maybe send a text message, maybe flirt until they get it, maybe ask them on a date? Or do you take them on national TV and tell them in front of the whole world and potentially embarrass them?
If I had a crush, I would make a little playlist. That's what I used to do.
You'll make a playlist?
Yes.
I can see that.
Just throw in a couple of rap songs, then one, like, I Can't Swim My Life Without You type of song.
That's a good one. Well, the gentleman in this case, the victim in this case, didn't really see that as an option. Scott Amador was actually, I would say, a very unique individual for that time period. Scott was in the Army. He was a military man, but he was also homosexual, which obviously I have no problem with that. But it was very rare, not rare, but it wasn't very common for guys to be out, especially military men to be out in the 90s. So Scott was out. He was actually a very generous guy. He was super active in the LGBT community. And when I say super active, I mean that he would take in AIDS patients. So basically, if he had a friend who had, gotten AIDS, I guess he would take them in and take care of them and just be there for them. Kind of be a support system to different patients, I guess, probably while they were just going through the struggle of getting some kind of health care or medical assistance, or even potentially having to file for disability. During those trying times, Scott would be there for different members of the community, different men that were his friends. But Scott also wanted to be a star. Scott wanted to be on TV. And he was very, very into talk shows. So, of course, his first thought pattern is, I'm going to try to get on one of these talk shows. So at some point, Scott sees this other gentleman by the name of Jonathan Schmitz at a mutual friend of theirs' house. A young lady named Donna was actually having Jonathan over to work on her car. So while Jonathan is working on Donna's car, Scott comes and is immediately attracted to him. And Scott said that Jonathan had some kind of weird symbolism on the back of his car, some kind of weird bumper sticker or whatever. So he thought that Jonathan would be like a hippie, but he was this clean-cut, fit guy. So apparently that intrigued Scott, and he really wanted to get to know Jonathan. And so at one point, Scott tells Donna that he's interested. And of course, Donna goes back, lets Jonathan know, and Jonathan lets her know, no, I'm not interested. I'm not homosexual. So even with that being the case, Scott continued to push the issue, and he actually wrote into the Jenny Jones show after he heard that they were having a episode for secret crushes to reveal themselves. So this is Scott Amador. And I mean, not a bad looking guy. Like I said, fit, military man. And he was very confident, very sure of himself. He actually came from a really great family, from what I understand. Scott's brother states that when Scott came out to them, nobody judged him. He said even his dad was pretty much like, okay, fine, it is what it is. So Scott was very fortunate in that aspect, that he had that support system, that family that allowed him to be himself, because it really helped him flourish into an open person, which he needed to be at that time, which we needed to see at that time, rather. However, so Scott wrote into the show, they accepted him, and then they reached out to Jonathan and tell him that there's someone that has a crush on him. It could be a man or a woman. Now, later on, it comes out that Jonathan insisted that if it was a man, he did not want to go on the show. It comes out later that Jonathan was insistent that he would not come on the show if it were a man. He didn't want anything strange. Not even just that he didn't want it to be a man. He just didn't want anything weird. He didn't want it to be a midget. He was hoping, actually, and he kind of assumed that it was his ex-fiance. From what I understand, they had a on-again, off-again type relationship, so Jonathan was pretty much thinking like, okay, she trying to get back together, So that's who Jonathan thought it was, or he actually thought also that it could have been this little chick from work. So, Jonathan kind of was on some, I don't know who it is, but I got a couple ideas, and if it's one of them, cool. If it was his ex-fiance, he was actually planning on proposing to her again. He was going to get back with her. And if it was the chick from work, I don't know what his plans were. I guess he would have just tried to smash and moved on. Or maybe he would have tried to embark on a relationship. But he was cool with that. But when he got on the show, immediately he sees Scott and Donna. And he's kind of thrown off. And actually, I think, if I'm lucky, we have a clip from the show. I don't know. I don't think I have the clip. Well, anyway, whether we have it or not, that was Scott, Donna, and Jonathan sitting on the stage. And immediately when Scott walks out, when Jonathan walks out on the show, Jenny is kind of like, okay, Scott, Jonathan, did you think it was Donna that had the crush on you? And he's like, no, me and Donna are really good friends. And Jenny was like, oh, it was Scott. And he kind of just laughs. And his first instinct, he says, you lied to me. And everybody said that he says it to Donna. But for me, I couldn't really tell. I couldn't tell if he said it to Donna or Scott. And so my perspective is a lot different than other people's because, in my opinion, I feel like he asked them specifically. He asked both of them, is it Scott? Because Donna had already told him Scott liked him. And he already knew that they were going to the show as well. I don't know what he thought, but he kind of knew that they were going to be in that area as well. He knew that they were going out of town. So I think that Scott straight up asked them, Jonathan, I'm getting their names mixed up. I think Jonathan straight up asked Donna and Scott, is it Scott? And I think they both said no. Because his immediate reaction was to say, you lied to me. And the whole time he's on the show, he's smiling and he's taking it really well. And so if you guys are able to, I really want you to, when you get a chance, to look this clip up on YouTube, because he has like the smile that is on his face is just like almost frozen there. Like his cheeks look like they hurt by the end of like the segment, because he's just like, it's a really, really fake smile. I think that he didn't know how to react to the situation at all, because I think he was extremely uncomfortable. It seems like he's taking it really well, but when you kind of just look at the smile that's on his face, you can tell he's extremely uncomfortable.
John, Scott wouldn't do it.
I got a pretty big hammock in my yard, and I thought about tying him up to my hammock.
And?
It entails like whipped cream and champagne, stuff like that.
Now, John, he knows you're gay, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that he is? No.
Anything's possible.
You're living in the night.
All right, so that was the first clip where where Scott is talking about how he felt about Jonathan. So they showed Jonathan that when he immediately came out. And then I have another clip. We'll give it a couple minutes to load up. But the other clip is going to be of, I just want y'all to kind of look at Jonathan's face and look how he kind of reacts to Scott in general.
He really is. Get the headphones off of John and let's have John come out here and see who has the crush on him. Here's John. Did you think Donna had the crush on you?
Did I? No, we're good friends.
Well, guess what? It's Scott that has the crush on you.
You lied to me.
I mean, he's confronted with this horrible situation.
So the part where they kind of shake each other's hands, I feel like when he embraced Donna, it was very genuine. And nothing about that seemed uncomfortable. He kissed her on the cheek. And then when he shook Scott's hand and Scott pulled him in for the hug, to me, he looked very uncomfortable even then. Like you can see he kind of just leaned his shoulder into it.
He just wanted to dap him up.
Yes, he did not want to get that man a hug.
Not at all. 6 feet.
Yes, he wanted the social distance. And then when they sat down and he was just kind of smiling, and then as soon as Jenny said it was Scott, he was like, you lied to me. Like, I think the energy is kind of, he's trying to keep the energy up, but yeah, like, look, Scott is completely embracing Jonathan.
But did you see how Jenny was looking? She was definitely playing into it.
Of course.
Like, she was smiling the whole time.
I mean, I think Jenny thought that it would be really funny. And I mean, even from the audience, if y'all look into the audience as the video was going, the audience was so excited. The audience is into it. It seems like a fun time. But we tend to forget that these are real people.
It's in the 90s. Like, gay men looked in the 90s as if they had AIDS. I remember that. Like,
Yes.
If you were gay and you were a man and you were homosexual, you
it was assumed
that you had AIDS.
Exactly. So that stigma was super prevalent at that time. And I think also gay, even now, gay is kind of like, it's like a hot topic, or like a easy scandal. You know what I mean? So that's why I think Jenny Jones was so excited, because it's like, oh, I got this. I got a good one. I know my ratings are gonna go through the roof on this one. And then, of course, y'all may or may not know, this episode never even aired. And
I watched Jenny Jones because I didn't have cable, and I don't remember this episode at all.
No, this episode actually never aired. And Jenny kind of just pushes the issue. She's asking Scott how he feels about Jonathan, and Jonathan has to watch Scott talk about how he wants to put him in a hammock and tie him up, and Jonathan just states, hey, yeah, I'm single, but I'm completely heterosexual. And that's just the smile that he had on his face the whole time. Like, that just...
Like he wants to shoot up the place.
Really? That's what you think? Are you saying that because he's white?
Definitely. But just like the way he started clapping, he's like, let me go get my bag.
Look at his eyebrows, though. See, you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. Like, those are definitely the eyebrows of a killer.
But he's got a good arch. Let me not lie.
Yeah, but I don't know if he went and got them done. Like, those are the eyebrows of a killer for sure. I'm not even gonna lie. Those are the eyebrows of a killer. And that's the haircut of a killer. Like, what the fuck is...
It's like almost mullet business, but a little party.
Yeah, mullet, bang. Like, the back is slick, but the front is kind of nappy. I don't know what that's all about. That's some Italian shit. Schmitz. What last name is that?
Those sideburns, though.
Yeah, he had a lot going on. I could have predicted that he would kill somebody, honestly. That hairstyle, those eyebrows, that intense smile, like to where his cheeks look like a fucking chipmunk. I could have most definitely predicted that he would kill somebody within the next 72 hours.
So how did he? Like, let's get to the juicy part.
Okay, you're right. Let's get to the juicy part.
Like,
So,
I wanna know.
Donna Scott and Jonathan leave the Jenny Jones show and go back to Michigan. I believe the Jenny Jones show was taped in LA. So they leave that evening, and apparently everything was all good. They go to the airport. They actually got Jonathan to switch his flight to theirs, and they all have drinks, and it's a funky good time. And so apparently everything was cool. They got on the plane. They go home. Everybody's still friends. So another night, a couple days later, Jonathan goes out after work and has a couple drinks with some friends of his coworkers rather. And when he gets home, he finds like a little drawing and like some tools or something laying in front of his door. And on a little note, it says, I have the only tool that can fix you, or the only tool that can light you up, or something. It was like a note from Scott. And at that moment, Jonathan pretty much lost it. That little note, yeah, he snapped. Yes. And I'm surprised this wasn't on an episode of Snap, because he literally snapped, and he says this himself. He literally snapped when he read that note. That same night, he went to the ATM, took out some money, went and bought a gun.
I wonder if there was like music playing in the background.
What kind of music do white people listen to when they need? He was probably listening to Eye of the Tiger. So Jonathan hopped in the car, turned on Eye of the Tiger, skirt off. You know what I'm saying? He might have turned on some Tupac for extra effect. Because you know white people's favorite line is, oh, I was listening to Tupac and that's why I shot somebody. Like, somebody tried to pull that shit. It might have been him. I don't know.
That's far from Tupac's whole idea of music.
You're right. It was Eye of the Tiger. So anyway, he pops on Eye of the Tiger, goes to the ATM, take out some money, goes to the gun shop, and buys a gun like that.
Probably Kmart.
Easy.
You know, the 90s.
Well, and then they actually had it was actually, I believe, like a mom and pop type of gun spot. And so they actually had the clerk from the gun store, and she was like, no, he was very calm, very polite young man, nice man. Like, she's saying this as she's testifying at his murder trial, like, talking about he was a really nice young man.
In his defense.
But it just goes to show, not to even get off topic, but it should not be that easy to get a gun. This guy had a thought, went and took out some money out the ATM, and went and purchased a weapon, a deadly weapon. A weapon that is used to kill.
So how did he just thought he'll kill this crush off and that was the end?
Well, this is what happened. So he went to Scott's house and knocked on the door. He left the gun in the car initially. He went to Scott's house, knocked on the door, and asked Scott if he had left a note. And Scott said yes. So I'm not really sure, because I've heard a couple different versions of the story, so I'm not sure exactly what the conversation was, what Scott's response was, but apparently Scott was not remorseful about having left the note. He didn't feel bad. And Jonathan at this point is pissed, but I don't think Scott knew that. Whatever the case was, Jonathan tells Scott, hey, I left my car running. He goes back to the car, grabs the shotty, go back to the door, push the door open with the gun. Scott immediately,
like Scarface.
Yes, like really on some killer type shit. And Scott immediately like tries to grab a chair. Like Scott starts freaking out at this point, of course. But that was it. Jonathan popped him. And after he popped him, he left, went down the street to a payphone and called 911 and told them that he just shot. He said, I think I just shot somebody. And I'm not even gonna lie, I'm kind of torn on this one because on one hand, I really felt kind of bad for Scott. Like, listen, I felt bad for Scott, period. I almost felt kind of bad for Jonathan listening to the 911 call because he really sounded extremely remorseful. Like, he was really a wreck. He was crying hysterically. He was like, I just killed him. I just shot him. He was like, he played a really dirty trick on me. But you don't get to kill somebody because you're embarrassed. Like, you just don't. So that's why I don't feel bad for him, because it's not acceptable that you lost it like that. Now, a lot of people felt that Jenny Jones and her show were responsible for the death of Scott Amadure. However, I kind of agree. I kind of agree and I kind of disagree.
I agree.
You think that they are responsible?
Especially if they said at the beginning, he did not want any type of weirdness. I don't want a guy to like me.
Yeah.
And you said that they said it could be a girl or a guy. Well, if I'm a man and someone has a crush on me, the only thing you should say is a girl has a crush on you, not a man or a woman has a crush on you. I think they played into it. They should be held responsible.
I think it's hard to say. What I will say is later on we find out that Jonathan had some mental issues. He had, like, I believe he was slightly bipolar. Like, he legitimately had some mental health issues that were in the process of being addressed. But he suffered depression, anxiety, and his family was also extremely homophobic. And according to Donna, he had been questioned about his sexuality before. His family had questioned him about his sexuality before. So, I mean, it's all fun and games to us, but these people have to go back to their regular lives. So imagine Jonathan telling his whole family, hey, somebody got a crush on me, after his homophobic family has already asked him, like, obviously some shit like, are you gay? Are you a fag? Or maybe just called him something like that.
I'm sure his dad was like, what are you planning to do to him after embarrassing you on TV?
You think so?
I'm sure his dad wanted him to handle that, especially if his family was extremely homophobic.
Yeah, I'm going to just say,
like,
if your family is extremely homophobic and they've already questioned your sexuality and that probably made you feel embarrassed, and then you tell everybody you know, I'm sure, hey, I'm going to be on TV. Hey, somebody got a secret crush on me. And then you get there and it's probably what you would consider your biggest fear. Because, like I said, your family is homophobic and they've already questioned your sexuality. So now on national TV in front of millions of people, a gay man is telling you that he has a crush on you. I can imagine that would be extremely embarrassing. And I can imagine that if... I don't think that this means Jonathan is homophobic, but it could have made him feel like, what is it about me that people think I'm gay? Or he could have felt like, why do people keep trying me? Like I'm a punk, huh?
It's the hairstyle.
It was. That's why he had the bangs pushed back. Yeah.
It was the arch.
See, and then actually some people in Scott's family said that Jonathan and Scott hooked up after the show.
One too many drinks that Jenny Jones was providing.
Said that they slow danced and kissed. I honestly don't believe that. I really don't.
Not the way his face was after revealing that he was the crush.
Because if that was the case, Scott would have been on that. I mean, Jonathan would have been on that before they even went to the show.
He wouldn't have to go to the show.
And then get drunk. Yeah. So I don't believe that at all. But that's what Scott's family says, that after the show, they hung out a couple times. But I will say, I'm not sure what I believe, because how does Jonathan know where Scott lived? That's one thing I found strange that was never really explained. Scott knew where Jonathan lived because Jonathan lived like across the street or in the same building as Donna. Jonathan lived really close to Donna, but Scott did not. So I don't understand how Jonathan knew where Scott lived.
Maybe the conspiracy is right.
Maybe they did hook up.
And maybe he couldn't keep quiet about them hooking up. That's why he had to kill him. I solved it. Y'all don't need lawyers. You got me.
I don't know. Because I also found it strange, like, why would he I guess he didn't have a choice, but why would he immediately call the police and tell on himself? I don't know. It's just, it's a few questions I have about this. But Scott got convicted. Scott got killed. Rest in peace, Scott. And Jonathan was convicted. Jonathan was obviously arrested and convicted.
How long did he serve?
25 years.
That's not that bad.
I mean, he was a young man. So, I mean, honestly, he kind of took that shit on the chin.
The 25 years, is he out?
He out. He just got out a couple years ago.
Now, do you think he's straight?
Oh, shit. After being in jail, shit. That's my thing. Like, you do something to make your worst dreams come true. Like, Jonathan, I don't know if you could hold your own against some real niggas in prison. You know, like, Scott pushing up on you sent you to the brink of insanity. Scott pushed up on you and you had to go get a fucking 12-gauge shotgun and blow the nigga brains out. So, I can't imagine.
I'm sure he shanked a couple of niggas.
Shit, nah, he probably was giving that booty up. But let me not even say that, because Jonathan the type, you say he gay, he gonna pull up on you. So let me not even
Right.
play with bro like that. He done already did 25, like it wasn't shit. I know another, he probably would just get 10 from me. Cause you know I'm black or whatever, BLM.
It's gonna be self-defense.
Yeah, he'll probably get like 10. He'll do that 10 like it wasn't shit. So no, I don't think he's gay. He's not gay at all. That's the straightest guy I've ever laid eyes on. Never seen nobody more straight than Jonathan Schmitz ever.
Now, did Scott's family, like, did they try to sue Jenny Jones? Like,
They did.
Did
They
get
did,
any
most
money?
definitely. So actually, Scott's family sued the Jenny Jones show, and they were initially awarded $25 million.
Okay.
However, another court reconvened over the matter and determined that the Jenny Jones show was not responsible nor liable,
Yeah,
and
they
so
were.
they didn't have to pay anything.
He would not be in jail, and Scott would not be 6 feet under if the Jenny Jones show did not set this up.
Yeah, but I mean, how often do they have people on there saying, "Oh, this is my secret crush"? Imagine if it had been an ugly woman, would Jonathan have killed her?
I mean, I remember watching the Jenny Jones show, and they would, like, give people makeovers before saying the whole crush thing.
I mean, even with a makeover, you could still be ugly.
True.
But would he have killed an ugly woman?
No.
So, once again, you don't get to kill somebody just because you got embarrassed. And I know that, like I said, back in the 90s, the gay thing was nowhere near as accepted as it is now. Even if your family don't accept you, basically the rest of the world does, to an extent, you know.
Now there's places you can go if your family disowns you for being gay. But in the
Absolutely.
90s, like, there was nobody you can call. There was no 1-800 self-help group. There was nothing. People looked down on you.
Yeah. I'm going to say there were a select few gay people who kind of made it and were okay, but...
Shit, Missy Elliott wouldn't come out in the 90s.
Is she gay?
Or The Brat.
Neither one of them act like they wanted to come out.
No.
Queen Latifah?
No, definitely not.
Who else? What guys was gay? They probably
Cisco?
still in the closet. No, I don't
Drew
think
Hill?
Cisco gay. He do be looking gay sometimes.
I thought he was.
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't know. Anyway, we're getting way off topic.
Yeah.
The point is, you don't get to kill somebody just because you're embarrassed. But I'm going to also say, like I said, because it was such a different time and because it was so taboo and looked at so negatively, Scott really pushed the issue. But at the same time, men push up on women like that all the time. So it's kind of it's hard. Rest in peace, Scott Amador. You definitely didn't deserve that fate. Whatever the case was, you didn't deserve that fate. Jonathan, you know, you served your time. Don't kill nobody else. Nobody thinks you're gay. If you are, it's okay. It's 25 years later, and guess what? Nobody fucking cares no more. You can fuck who you want and fuck who you don't. All right. So, like I said, Jonathan did his time, and that's pretty much the end of that story. I got just a few minutes left, so I'm going to do some quick TAE talk. I'm going to do Am I the Asshole? And we're going to end off on that note. So give me 1 second. I actually got some really good ones today. So hopefully we can get that pulled up. All right. So I'm going to start the first one. It'll be up on the screen for y'all to read along. But it says, am I the asshole for not changing my baby's name again after I changed it for my sister once already? All right. All names are fake. I have a 9-year-old daughter and another one on the way. I had 2 grandmothers, Annie and Rose. I named my oldest daughter Annabelle after Nanny Annie, whose full name was also Annabelle. I did not name her after Nana Rose, as at the time she was born, Nana Rose was still with us. When I found out I was pregnant with the second, I decided to name her after Nana Rose, who passed in 2017. My sister Lucy got pregnant about 5 months before me. She says that she wants to name her daughter Rose after Nana Rose, Excuse me. I say our kids can share the name. She says I already have Annabelle, and I could have named her Annabelle Rose or something, but passed up on the chance, so I can't have Rose. I figure this is not the hill to die on, so I say I'll look for something else, but I reserve the right to use Rose. I then crack open a baby book, and a few entries after Rose is Rosalie. It's perfect, honors Nana Rose, doesn't piss off Lucy, and my boyfriend loves it. Lucy finds out the new name, and she says it's lovely. And she approves it, which annoys me, but I say nothing. Oh, she says she loves it and she approves, which annoys me, but I say nothing. This all takes place in her 8th month of pregnancy. 3rd month of mine, so I don't even know the gender yet. This is all hypothetical. A couple weeks later, Lucy gives birth. A few days ago, about a month after birth, she announces that her daughter's name is Rosalie. At this point, I'm really annoyed because I went to great lengths to leave the name Rose available, and she's nicked my choice. Mom calls me to say she knew what Lucy was planning and she hopes I'm not upset because that means now I can name my incoming daughter Rose. Except I'm now attached to Rosalie. I tell Mom that I'm sticking with Rosalie. She says Lucy has Rosalie. I say there's going to be 2 Rosalies in the family. She says this is impractical as both Rosalies will have the same surname. My sister is a single mom and my boyfriend is taking my name. Okay. And they will likely be in the same school and age group, so this will cause all manner of issues. I say if it's going to be an issue, I'll deal with it if and when it comes up. Lucy then calls me, calling me an inconsiderate prick, says I'm being petty, and that I don't have a monopoly on the name, and that she can name her kid what she likes. I said that's all true, so by that same logic, I can use Rosalie. She says there can't be 2 Rosalies and it'll cause problems. And I say she's the one who has a problem with it, so she can change her kid's name or deal with it. She again called me an inconsiderate, spiteful ass and hung up. Mom, Dad, and our brother all side with Lucy. Am I the asshole? I thought this was so funny when I read this, and I had to pick it because petty family drama is always hilarious. Like, are you the asshole? No. Are you being extremely petty and childish? Absolutely.
I low-key think the sister's being petty. She knew that was her. She chose that name. And then gives her that name when her child's born. She's Queen Petty. She knew that was going to piss off her sister.
No, yeah, you're right. The sister is the asshole. The sister is the asshole in this letter.
Lucy, you the asshole.
Yeah, Lucy. Oh my gosh, and you act like a Lucy, you fucking bitch. Yeah, Lucy. I don't like her, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like her baby either. So Lucy and baby Lucy, fuck both of y'all.
I'm sure the other sister is like talking to her womb, like, "Oh, Rosalie, you're so beautiful," singing to her at night.
That's what I'm saying. Lucy didn't do none of that. Lucy was calling this baby Rose up until probably the very moment she gave birth.
And then here comes the mama. Oh, you can just call her Rose now. No, it's not that easy.
And the mom said she knew what Lucy was planning. Like, oh my gosh, what kind of family was you born into? Right.
Queen Petty, Princess Petty.
I don't like that. Is this your younger sister? See, it doesn't even say. I wish I knew whether this was your younger sister or your older sister. If it's your younger sister, obviously she's being a brat, but she's probably used to that. So you should probably I don't think you should name your kid Rosalie. Like, you say you're attached to the name, but I think you really just pissed.
That'd be a little crazy in school. Like, Rosalie Flores, can you meet me in the principal's office? So 2 people gonna show up?
Right. And then ultimately, how are you going to explain to your daughter? Like, if you explain this to your daughter, at some point, she's going to be like, Mama, really? You gave me the same name as my cousin? Because she's born second. So no matter what, she's Rosalie too.
No, that's her aunt, right?
No, it's her cousin.
Oh, sister.
Cousin.
Oh. Okay.
Lucy, this is Lucy's daughter. Lucy is the author's sister. So it's going to be Rosalie's cousin. Yeah, I think no matter how you spin it 20 years from now, you saying Oh, but I picked the name first. It doesn't matter. She was born first. So, you're not the asshole. You are very petty. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but don't name the baby Rosalie. It's not worth it. 20 years from now, like, you just won't be able to justify it. All right, second, am I the asshole? Oh, you know what? Before I go any further, let me just say real quick, rest in peace to DMX. I should have said that at the beginning of the show. But definitely a huge rest in peace to hip-hop legend, icon, just superstar, DMX. That's a dude who I think we all can say as a community we kind of watch battle his demons, suffer, but still constantly fought through it, pushed through it. And I think, he's a perfect example of saying money can't buy everything, because I don't think it bought him peace. I think he was more peaceful closer to his last few days. These past couple years, it seems like, just from the little bit I've seen about him online and stuff, he's been in a more peaceful state. But, I can just say we watched this dude really kind of struggle, despite being a millionaire. So rest in peace, DMX. I know everybody been blasting your music. I seen Rough Riders Anthem was like #1 on iTunes or something, so I thought that was pretty dope. Like I said, just rest in peace to a legend. All right, let's finish this last. Okay, should I do this one or should I do the last one? Okay, I'm going to do the last one. So, Llama, it should start at 6. So, am I the asshole for cutting my wife off from assets? Let me get a quick swig. This one is funny as hell.
I think you are the asshole. Off top. The title says it all. Yes, you are the asshole for cutting your wife off the assets.
Let me explain.
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
Technically, my wife and I are still married. We have been separated for almost a year, but neither one of us has filed for divorce yet. Last spring, when COVID first got bad, both of my adult children lost their jobs and couldn't make rent. So I offered for them to stay with us until they got back on their feet. This caused a lot of stress for everyone involved. I work 45 to 50 hours a week in a manufacturing job, while my wife has not worked in nearly a decade. This was completely her choice, as she has never liked working. Parentheses, who does? And she wanted to pursue her making income on Etsy and other similar sites. So when my son and daughter came to stay with us, our house became much more crowded than usual. Since my wife stays at home all day, she felt that my children were invading her space and wanted them out pretty much immediately. She felt I was enabling them by letting them come stay with us and that we should let them sink or swim on their own. I told her that I couldn't let my children suffer when I was in a position to help. After only a few weeks, shit hit the fan. My wife had blown up at both my son and daughter because she felt they weren't pulling their weight in our house. She started giving them chore lists and would get angry when all the things weren't done. My kids were both looking for work and dealing with unemployment offices, and doing housework took a back seat to those things. Rightfully so, in my mind. I came home from work one day to my wife screaming like a banshee at my son. When I walked in, my wife immediately turned her ire toward me and told me that if I didn't kick my kids out right away, then she was leaving. So I told her my kids were staying, and she packed her stuff and called her sister to pick her up. My wife also doesn't drive. Since then, we have barely spoken. She won't answer my calls and will respond pretty much every text with, "Unless your kids are gone, we have nothing to talk about." Mind you, my daughter moved out during the winter after finding a new job, and my son has been working part-time for 6 months while looking for full-time work and saving money to move out. My wife didn't even tell me that her dad passed away earlier this year. I had to find out on Facebook. When I tried to call her, she wouldn't answer and ignored my text too. Since it has become painfully obvious to me that this relationship is over, I decided to finally file for divorce. However, as soon as my wife was served the papers, she flipped out on me. She is pissed that I cut off her access to our shared checking account and pissed that she will no longer have access to health insurance through my employer. She has called me an asshole more times than I can count, and her siblings have joined the choir on that refrain now too. I do feel bad that this is going to make her life more difficult, but I no longer feel that it is my obligation to provide for her when she clearly wants nothing to do with me.
Can I say off top, the wife's the asshole. Like, these are your children, and you don't, it's a fucking pandemic, and they don't have nowhere to go, and you want your kids out?
I'm going to say
you
this.
You birthed these kids.
I don't know if these are her kids, because he said my children the whole time.
I didn't catch that.
He said my adult children.
But
he didn't say, he never said our kids. I don't think these are her kids.
I didn't catch that. But still, this is like a part of you, and you don't want, like, you're going to let them live on the street?
I thought it was fucked up that she said that we need to let them sink or swim on their own.
That they're invading her spot? Like, go in the room, close the door.
Yeah. So, you're definitely not the asshole. Your wife is an asshole.
She's not even bringing any money in.
Yeah. And she's not bringing as much as you in. You work 40, 50 hours at a manufacturing job. She's selling shit on Etsy. So, is she using your money to buy stuff to sell on? What is she selling on Etsy? You know what I'm saying? Where is she getting is she making something to sell on Etsy? Where is she getting these products to sell?
Probably selling face masks since the pandemic.
You think so?
Yeah. Probably bedazzled face mask.
She sound like a bedazzled face mask selling ass bitch. She sound like a Lucy too, but I'm not gonna call her Lucy. She sound like a Julia.
I was gonna say Julie.
I'm gonna go with Julie too.
Yeah.
She sound like a Julie. And you know what? Anybody named Julie, they don't deserve to be married to a great guy like you, Barry. I'm gonna call you Barry.
Ben. Barry? Barry sounds like he has some hair on his chest, and he works at a manufacturer, so
That's
Barry
what I'm
sounds
saying.
good.
He sound like a Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Barry, you deserve much better. Your adult children have seen you go through woman after woman. What happened with their mom? You didn't add that. So I kind of need to know now. They've seen you go through it with their mom. She probably walked all over you. Now they see you going through it with Julie. She sounds like a fucking piece of work.
Julie?
She doesn't work.
She sounds like she's about like 10 years younger.
At least 10 years.
Like a sugar baby.
And she hasn't worked in 10 years. So she's laying up spending all your money. And now she's embarrassed because your kids are there. They probably close to her age. And she looking at it like, I don't want them to see that I don't do nothing all day.
She probably don't even cook dinner. House probably is a mess. Dogs
Barry clean up.
Yeah.
I see that. I can see Barry the type of guy that will work 16 hours at the manufacturing plant and come home and still cook and clean.
He sounds like he'll put a TV dinner in the microwave.
No, I bet
Hungry
he cooks.
man.
No, Barry cooks. Barry was raised by his grandparents. He spent the summers with his grandparents in Alabama. So
learn how to make biscuits from scratch.
Absolutely. That's how he raised up them 2 kids.
Cornbread fed.
From scratch. Yeah, so Barry, you don't need her. You can do better. Julie, fuck you. You're an asshole.
Definitely the asshole.
Lucy, you're
cut
an
her
asshole.
Off.
It ain't nothing to cut that bitch off. So I'm gonna get on up out of here, y'all. I'm gonna pop the grill on y'all one more time. Make sure y'all like, share, comment. Ooh, y'all didn't even know I was gonna be this icy on you hoes today.
You blinded me.
Am I?
Yeah, the lights got me blinded because your grill.
So y'all make sure y'all like, share, comment. Let me know what you like about the show. And I got a surprise for y'all next week. I got a really, really, really good show for y'all next week. Make sure you stay locked in, tapped in on my social media because I'm going to be announcing something on my page. So, this is the Black Podcast Show. And I'll see y'all next Monday, 8 o'clock.
Shots in my eyes low. There's just some food for thought stuff that in your pie hole. I bring that heat back like it's Cinco de Mayo. I like things, man. I think I'm a buy mo. Trying to keep it copacetic. Got no time for a rival, my nigga. Ain't got got no time for that. Said a nigga like me ain't got no time for that. Ain't got no time for that. Tryna keep it copacetic, got no time for that.